Hi friends, welcome. Today I want to talk about creator events and what I've learned from going to a few of them, normally smaller events. The most recent ones, and probably my favorite ones, happened in New York City on a trip that me and my wife took. I want to make a video talking about what I learned from that trip as well. That'll be separate. But in these creator events, I've learned some things. One of the things I've learned is that it is like an ocean of social forces. There are many different waves crashing against you at any given time. Some people are more sensitive to these forces than others. I'm quite sensitive to these forces. I think most people are quite sensitive, if whether they show it or not. Of course, we all react in different ways. But I think it's important to understand that going into this, you have a lot of people trying to interact with one another and build relationships with one another, get things from one another. There's a lot of energy, there's hyperactivity going on. There's a lot, expect that. And I think that the way that you combat that is it's a battle of states of mind. That you have to have a strong foundation in your head to deal with these things, or you can risk doing things like diluting yourself, trying to fit in too much. And I think that this dilutes your voice, your authentic expression that you have to bring to these events, the value you have to bring. One thing I've learned is to be present. This is incredibly important. It's easy to go into these things and be caught in your head either on something that may be happening in the future that is happening 6 months from now, something that happened in the past that you're still dwelling on, maybe another event you went to or something went horribly wrong and this event reminded you of that event, and now you're dwelling on that and it's painful and you can't get your head out of that because you're worried about something horrible happening. Or it could be something that's happening later on in this event. And you have to prepare for it. Maybe you're somebody who's there to get up in front of some people and talk, and that's weighing on your head. It's important to be present. It's important to be in the moment so that you can give the people around you everything that you can, so that you can make deep connections with the people who you're interacting with. Later on, if you don't stay present, what can happen is you will regret that. You will find yourself in a place of frustration that you weren't more present. Most of the time, this is one of maybe 3 things that I feel after I get done with an event is I wasn't more present in that particular situation. Or maybe I had something that I couldn't get out of my head for the entire time I was there. And I think that this is an important skill to practice. One way to help you be present is to be calm. Because these events are so hypercharged with social energy, it's easy to overload your brain. Once again, this has to do with the type of person you are. If you're more of maybe an introverted type, you may be more sensitive to these forces and your brain sort of overloads with a bunch of people. You have to develop your own inner calming mechanism. A way to get your brain from overthinking things, getting stuck in cyclical thought processes. Staying emotionally calm, staying centered, having a foundation, having your feet under you is a fantastic way to keep yourself from being in a position where, 1, you're not present, but 2, you sort of lose touch with everything that's going on. You get disconnected from yourself and what you're trying to do and why you're there. Stay very calm. And the good thing is that even if you're calm, you can express energy, I've learned. I think I struggled with the thought of thinking that if I'm calm, then I'm going to come off as calm, which I actually don't mind at this point, but that if I need to express energy and be everything's happening, let's punch a baby, then I can still do that while maintaining an inner calm. That those things are disconnected in a sense. Another thing is to be weird. That when you go into and I'm not saying go and be absurd for the sake of being absurd. I'm saying that when you're there, if you're a normal human, there's a high probability that you're going to feel a bit isolated and different because you are different. You're a separate human from all the other individual humans around you. It's very normal to feel strange when you're in these situations. This is because all of these social forces coming together to conspire against you and try to dilute who you are and make you into the community, make you into a big amoeba that comes together into a cell or a blob of cells, that everything comes together and becomes the same, right? And you don't necessarily want this. There are features of this that you might want, but it's important to maintain your individual, authentic self in the midst of these things. So feeling weird is an indication that you are probably being yourself. It could also be an indication, you have to separate these two, it could also be an indication that you're not connecting with the people around you. Maybe there's something that you're doing that's not meshing with what you're being a part of. And sometimes you should shift to mesh better, right? So that you can be a part of the group. But you can't sacrifice being authentically you. I feel weird saying authentically you because that's something that sometimes you do need to shift the way that you come at things to connect with people. Sometimes being authentically you, if it's a flawed version of you, you might need to fix that. So you need to do some introspection and sort that out. But what I mean is, when you're in these situations, you're going to feel different, and that's okay. A lot of times, that just means that you are in fact different, and that's the point. And the fact that you're there is good. The fact that you're bringing that difference is important. It's part of what you have to share with everybody. Be okay with feeling weird. Embrace that weirdness. Embrace the fear of feeling weird. Be engaged with yourself enough to know what those different feelings mean. Another thing I've learned is that it's a good idea to engage with people one person at a time. That when these events are happening, there are 25 different people within your general 1 foot area who are all trying to talk to each other and gain attention and build relationships with one another. And you can get overwhelmed by this. I can get overwhelmed by this. I've learned that the best thing to do, because we are one-on-one individual types of folks, is if you want to build a deep relationship with somebody, you can speak to everybody in the room. That's what speakers do, right? But if you're trying to build relationships that have depth, it's a good idea to focus on just that person in front of you. If someone tries to pull you away, go, hold on, I'm talking to this person. Focus your energy on them. And thinking of it this way will help you not get so caught up in the insanity of everything that's going on. I found this to be incredibly helpful. I love the game of finding a single person and trying to drill deep into who they are and learn more about them. I think it's also important to know what you are about, know why you're there, know what your purpose for being there is. Have a definition that you're going into the room with. You can go in and you can lose touch with yourself very easily and become part of the social goals that are happening, and this dilutes your goals. If you want to go in and you want to you have like 3 people that are there that are interesting you, and you like to build a relationship with them. Stay focused on that. Keep your arrow pointed at the target. Stay hyper. I guess focus is the only word I can think of. Narrow your fire hose, right, towards only that goal, because you will get overwhelmed with all of the goals. So know why you want to be there. Know why it matters that you're there. Know what you have to bring to the other people that are there. All of this is a bunch of games of focus, states of mind. And I think that mastering those games is what is truly exciting to me about going into these situations. But it's also what makes you have a remarkable presence in these events. People will remember you, and you will feel good after the fact. Another thing is to go in as a servant, to to not go in wanting from everybody else, but to go in figuring out how you can help, how you can give, walking up to the one of the organizers of the event and say, hey, is there anything I can do? I saw that table's on fire over there. Could I put that out? I'm good with water. Be a servant. Be focused on taking care of the people around you. Be a good friend. I'll get to more of that thought in a second. Another thing is to be curious, I've learned. My curiosity, I think, is one of my greatest strengths. I'm very interested in people around me, and I can listen to them talk about their life, and I love to sit and think about how I can, and I've spoken about this in a recent conversation that I had with Jesse Hunt about, we spoke about how we interact with the people who we're interviewing for the podcasts, and in the past on like film sets and this sort of thing. And I love to try to turn knobs and dials just the right way to try to pull something out of somebody in a way that maybe they've never expressed before. And I try to invest in my curiosity in a given person, right? If I'm interested in this person, I try to dig into them and figure out what makes them, tick, and what they're after and what their goals are and how they got here. Different things like this. You can go all sorts of different directions. This is a great way to build relationships with people. Ask a lot of questions. This is such a simple tool, but I think we overshoot it a lot with the craziness of trying to go into some sort of event and network with people and make opportunity happen. The last thing is that I think that one of my favorite things that I've learned about interacting with people in general, but going into some sort of environment where I want to build a relationship with somebody and make that relationship stick, to be somebody that somebody wants to have as a friend. That it's so easy to go into these things thinking, how can I get this person to like me? How can I get this person to remember me? And that easily becomes a game of, let me find the interesting and cool things and the things I'm good at and the things I've done and tell them about that thing. I don't think that's a solid strategy. I think a better strategy is to be kind and authentic to the person. Be curious. Be present with them. Engage with them on a deep level. Ask them things about themselves that people don't normally ask about them. Help them. Look for ways that you can serve them. Ask questions so that you can try to find a way to help them with something they're struggling with. Be a good friend. And this is a great way to find good friends. I thought I'd bring my wife in for this conversation because she was part of the 2 creator events that we went to in New York City.
I was part of 3.
Was there 3? There were a lot of events. Okay, 3. I mean, the whole thing was a social experience, really.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just sidetracking things.
So I'm talking about the things that I've learned about going to creator events and how to sort of conduct yourself at said events. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to hear one thing that you've learned.
I've learned to always hand out business cards the second that you meet somebody.
Oh, that's
like, hi, my name is, here's my business card.
This. Okay, so to hand out business cards.
Yeah, and make sure they have 6 fonts.
Okay. Now, I feel like you're going down a ridiculous route, and that this is a horrible piece of advice to give to the patrons.
Yeah. It's worked for me, though.
Well, probably not.
Probably not.
And here's why.
Why the heck did you invite me in here?
Because that's a bad idea.
Okay.
So,
well,
but I like your enthusiasm.
Yeah.
You really delivered it well. I almost believed you because you sold it with such rigor.
I don't know why you don't believe me.
Okay, thanks for your...
Okay, goodbye.
Okay, goodbye.
Okay, so on a serious note, since James is fishing for my real answer...
I mean, it's good to have a thing that you can hand somebody sometimes.
Yeah, like that's your nice. Hand. Just
but
give them a handshake.
More times than not, that's the phone in your hand.
Yeah,
and you say,
what's your Instagram?
What's your Instagram handle?
So what do I learn? I didn't even know your question. Whoever commented that I don't listen to these videos is totally right.
What have you learned about how to conduct yourself at these events to help yourself?
Gotcha. Okay, so first of all, what I gain from these events. I'm going to just totally derail your question, and then I'll come back to it.
Fair enough.
So I am a social individual. I'm an extrovert, and it feeds my soul. And I wish that I could do it not every weekend, because that's a bit much, but at least once a month, maybe once every 3 weeks, but definitely once a month. It gives me the energy to continue to create. It gives me the energy to keep creating, and it just makes me excited about life. What I've learned about conducting myself is just to be a personable person. I'm the kind of person that if I'm not interested in anything you have to say, I check out, and it's all over my face.
This is so funny because this contrasts with what I was saying a second ago, which is to be curious.
Yeah.
And that I'm naturally a very curious person, and I was saying that that's one of my strengths.
Yeah, I'm the complete opposite. If I'm remotely not interested, we have a friend that just says we were at dinner a couple of years ago with another person, and it just was like just a blank face. And I try my dangdest to really be interested and curious in what people have to say, and I have to be very self-conscious about, like, okay, am I making eye contact, and are my eyes starting to wander? Because people can read through that, and it's a good tell for me when I see people kind of looking around. Basically, they're looking for a way out, because it means that...
That's another thing. Pay attention to social cues.
Yeah, it means that they're not interested in what I have to say, and I do the same thing. So I try my best to be interesting and ask a lot of questions from people and be interested in the answer, because sometimes I'm not. So it's a really, like, self-awareness.
It takes energy and presence, I think.
Yeah, and did you talk about Hustle NY? In that whole
yeah day? Well, that was one of the events we went to, but I didn't go into detail about the event.
So basically, I don't know how much he's shared
divulged
about
basically nothing.
Okay, so we basically took a red eye from Salt Lake to New York City, got to New York City at 6 a.m. and we were just going nonstop until about 11 p.m. I think, and it was a day and a half, I must say. Literally, actually, because
physically,
but we were just exhausted, and when I'm in those situations, if I'm sitting down, that's when I get tired, so I try my best to bounce around.
Stay involved.
Stay involved.
Yeah.
Parties, I say I'm a social individual, but I'm actually very shy when it comes to events that I don't know certain people in, so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll flock to a group that I know, and that gets me a little bit more extroverted and wild, and then I'm taking my top off, and it's just
oh my gosh.
That's not true. I didn't take my top off in New York. But yeah, it was
metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, take the top off of my hint bottle.
Whoa, sponsor. We say that at least one time every time we get together for a conversation.
Yeah,
sponsor.
Yeah, so that's all I've learned. Is
That's
just
good.
To be present and be very mindful of my face. Be self-aware. If you're the kind of person like me who just could care less about anybody in the world, that's kind of an exaggeration. But just watch your face, because your face says a lot. James says raise your eyebrows, and that's how you know, oh yeah,
you can
interested in
learn. You can learn what people are thinking about their interaction with you from their eyebrows. If you say something and they go up, you're onto something. Or they're really good at lying. Okay, well, thank you for joining.
Can I go back and edit now?
Yes, you can go back and edit. I appreciate your time.
Yes.
For all of you guys, thank you so much for watching and
is
or
this the
listening
end of it?
if you made it this far. Yes.
Yay.
Yeah.
Hi, guys.
I'm curious
Welcome.
what you guys have learned from creative social situations. Engage below. I will engage with you. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.
Goodbye.